your brother possesses his land, you are to help him. I think that one of the problems that is illustrated in this text, Manette, is that too often we forget that the man living on the streets is our brother who's trying to get the devil off his back. Too often we forget that the girl who's looking for love in the wrong places is our daughter, is our sister who's trying to get the devil off of her back. Too often we forget that the man who is still waiting to be blessed is our brother who's just trying to get the devil off his back. Too often we forget that the reason I have mine but you don't have yours yet is because the devil was focusing on you while I was getting mine, and I just happened to sneak through the cracks. Anybody can thank God right now that God will give you rest to get your breakthrough. God tells the three tribes of Manasseh, Gad, and Reuben. He says, don't forget about your brother, but make sure you help your brother. Make sure that you fight for him and block the devil from him like somebody blocked the devil from you. I could deal with that. You see, the three tribes had to understand that they were in the same fight as their brothers who had not gotten their blessing yet. Say, neighbor, I ain't got mine yet. But if you fight for me, I'm going to get mine. See, if you fight for me, if you pray for me, if you fast for me, if you believe in me, I will come through. As pure gold. Yeah, they were in the same fight. They just happened to be at different stages. They had the promise while their brother was waiting for their promise. They were in the same fight. They had not made it by themselves. They did not make it without some help. And don't fool yourself. None of us, none of us have made it by ourselves. None of us have overcome the dust of the wilderness by ourselves. None of us have endured the coldness of the night all by ourselves. None of us have gotten through the devil's tricks and charades by ourselves, but God had some angels in place to give us help when we needed our help. Is anybody here who needs to thank God for angels looking out for you? Is anybody here who needs to thank God for angels who blocked some punches of the devil so you can stay in your right mind? Say, neighbor, angels. Say, I got angels watching over me all night and all day. I got angels. Let me preach this thing. God makes it clear that those who desire to possess and settle in what God has for you. He said, got to understand that possession is about flowing in favor and not in friction. Let me show you a thing or two. The potential tension in this text and in this relationship between the three tribes and God is, if the tribes back out of their promise, they will be creating friction, not with the devil, but with God. What would have complicated this relationship, Wayne, that was based on trust, loyalty, and commitment would have been the three tribes repeating the cycle that instigated the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, them saying one thing and doing something else. The challenge of this scene in the life of these tribes is that the man or woman of God has to always know that God holds you accountable to do what you said you would do, and when you don't, you open the door to spiritual friction. When you say, God, I will, but you don't, you open the door to spiritual friction. When you say, God, if you do this for me and I'll do this, but you don't, you open the door to spiritual friction. When you say, God, if you give me one more chance, where my one more chance folk? Where those folk who say, God, give me just one more chance, I promise I won't make the same mistake again, but you do. You open the door to spiritual friction. When you say, God, I won't do it again, but you do, you open the door to spiritual friction. I have a hard time, watch this, with people who say one thing but then do something else. Can I just vent for a few seconds, preachers? I have a hard time with Christians who are faithful to get your attention, to get what they want, but when they get it, you can't find them to do anything. I wrestle with people in the church who beg, plead, cry, and yearn for God to give them their chance. But when they get it, they change. They lose their zeal. Their fire is gone. Their passion. And watch this. They break a promise to find the pleasures of this culture. But what we find in this text is that the three tribes do not break their promise. Neither do they back away from their commitment to God. But what they do is they keep their word. Say, neighbor, keep your word. Say, keep your word, keep your word, keep your word, which allows them to flow in the favor of God and not in friction with God. I feel God preaching in here. They keep their word. They fight with their brothers. They go to war with their brothers. They pray for their brothers. They stand in support of their brothers. They hold their brother's hand. They take hits from the devil for their brothers, and they stay with their brothers until their brothers get what God has for them. And because they flow in favor with God, they can now, with a clear conscience, go back and settle in their land because they did what they said they would do. And watch this. When you do what you're supposed to do, God will do what he has to do. He'll fight the devil for you. He'll knock enemies out of your way. He'll open doors for you. He'll bust hell down just for you. Is there anybody here who needs to thank God that when you keep your word, God will do anything to bless those who love him, who honor him, and who, can I get about 55 folk who can thank God right now that he did just what you needed him to do? He came to see about you. He made a way out of no way. He pushed the devil out of your way. Let me get out of here. I got to close. Let me get out of here. He says, possession is about, here it is, and I'm done. Possession is about realized expectation. In other words, I got to expect to receive what God gave to me. You better get this thing. Verses 14 and 15 in Joshua 1 reveal this revelation when it says, until you help your brothers, or until the Lord gives them rest. Say, neighbor, until. God, until they take possession, until they are blessed like you blessed, you can't get off the wall. Can I close right there? Meaning you will get yours and they will get theirs, but you got to stay on the wall. You will possess and they will possess. Say, neighbor, you will get yours and I'm going to get mine. No, that was too cute. Say, I said you will possess, because I ain't going to rest till I see you just as blessed as I am. Can I get about 200 folk just to shout in this place? Grab your neighbor's hand and let's walk together, children. I said, let's walk together, children. Let's walk together, children. There's a great celebration in the great getting up morning. I dare you grab your neighbor by your neighbor's hand. Say, neighbor, I got a secret to tell you.